What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are at Barcade in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, right before Immortal Bird's kick-ass show at Union Pool. We are here with Rae. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. Your newest record is Thrive on Neglect, which came out around this year. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this record was and like the recording and all that fun stuff?
Sure. I mean, it came out in July. We recorded it with Dave Otero at Flatline Audio in Westminster, Colorado. It was really fun. That's pretty much it.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard a lot of musicians actually working with Dave Otero before, and like when you work with like somebody outside of your band to like help record and all that fun stuff, does he bring something new to the table or like help bring something new to Immortal Bird's sound?
I mean, I really enjoy the way that he records drums, especially. That was kind of a unique thing for us. And I also hadn't finished up all of my vocal patterns by the time we hit the studio, so he had some cool suggestions. And he recorded like some fun little scratch vocals over it, like little whisper screams. They didn't make the final cut, obviously, but they did help guide me, and that was fun.
That's awesome. What I was curious is because I've noticed that there's some like song, like the record varies in different song lengths. Like I know the first track is like 3.5 minutes, but then you have another track that's like almost 8 minutes long. At what point, how do you decide when like the song is finished?
I don't know. You just kind of feel it out. We never go about it like this is going to be a short one, this is going to be a long one. It just kind of worked out that way, especially if there ends up being something in the song that we want to repeat that can kind of add on some time to it.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of led me into the next question, because with the making of Thrive of Neglect, there's not like a preconceived idea that this whole record evolved around, right? There was like a lot of improvising involved, and it was very organic.
There was like no improvisation whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Except for the tiny solo that Nate does at the end of Stumbling Toward Catharsis. Yeah, we write everything ahead of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I meant like, was there a preconceived idea on how you wanted this overall record to sound or something like that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. When it comes to like getting inspired to write, does like inspiration sometimes just come straight out of nowhere, or do you like do you and the rest of the band like have to put yourself in a certain element in order for inspiration to sort of come through?
I don't know how they do it, like the rest of my bandmates, but I kind of just like to set aside time to write and to think about stuff each day. I mean, sometimes something will randomly come to me, but other times I like to set aside specific time to just like sit with my guitar and like noodle until I find a riff.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to like the vocal style, is there ever a time where like a lyrical concept or subject matter could determine the music itself, or are lyrics kind of like a secondary sort of thing?
I mean, a lot of times the lyrics come first, and I can decide kind of where to put them based on how the dynamics of the song are going. So if something is going to get really intense and heavy and angry, maybe I'll put a line that I feel is kind of like that in there. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're ever worried that like you'll have like the perfect set of lyrics, but then they go like one syllable over the actual arrangement or something?
Nah, because then we'll just add a syllable of like guitar or whatever for me. That's the fun part about writing together.
Yeah, and it seems like your music is so experimental to the point where there doesn't seem to be like too many limitations or like a certain structure or formula that you have to follow, right?
Yeah, no, we're just trying to write the kind of music that we want to. And I know it's like a blend of different genres, but we listen to a big blend of different genres, so it makes sense.
Yeah, of course. When it comes to like making, like for each song on Thrive on Neglect, like does each song like in a way represent a moment? Like does this represent on who you and the rest of the band were like at this exact time? Or like do you work on a song like more regularly and more consistently in order to sort of get to the idea that you want to get to? Like does each song really capture a moment, or is it just more or less like does it take more than like one day or something to work on a song?
I don't really understand the question. Like, of course it takes more than one day to work on the songs, but like they all kind of tell their own narrative, but all of the narratives are combined. Like it starts with Anger Breeds Contempt, it ends with Stumbling Toward Catharsis. It's kind of like a journey through some things. But not all the songs are like super connected thematically, but they're all kind of overall related to one another.
Yeah, that was actually a really good way of putting it, because I was always curious like if the making of each song like was it almost like its own experience or not.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Mm-hmm. One thing I was really curious about is when it comes to executing your material live, like is it a different energy in playing your material live versus when you're on the album or in the studio, or like is there maybe like a similar method behind that madness?
I mean, we try to play this stuff really close to the recording, but we ultimately end up playing a few songs a little bit faster than they are on the record. But other than that, we're not like changing anything around with the structures or like the delivery, really. I think I'm probably the one that takes the most liberties with their delivery. Sometimes if I want to do a line in like more of a mid or a low and it's kind of a high on the record, I'm like, whatever.
Okay.
I just kind of do what I want.
There you go. I feel like that the live presence is a little more liberating and maybe more flexible to like just go outside the box.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit. I mean, I try not to like change lyrics around, but other than that.
Yeah. When it comes to like the lyrics, though, kind of going back to like the concept, can the record be open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe engage the listener into the story, into maybe seeing things from your point of view?
It's definitely all open to interpretation for sure. It is all very like personal and specific to me, but I try not to make it so it's not accessible to other people. Because, I mean, I'm just a human, like, and everyone kind of goes through the same things in their lives. I'm not really touching on anything unique, but I'm trying to touch on things in a unique way, maybe. But it is all open to interpretation, but sometimes people's interpretations are wrong, which is hilarious because it's like there are no wrong answers or like no dumb questions, but occasionally like someone will really not get it. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like that's okay too, but like that is not what the song was about, you know?
And I'd imagine you're not hesitant on explaining to the listener like what the song is about, right? If somebody were to ask you what does this song mean, you're not gonna say it's only open to interpretation.
I mean, I might. It's real. Like a lot of it's really personal, and it depends entirely on who's asking me and why they're asking me. I get a lot of really nosy people in my life, who like want to like dig deep and maybe like try to connect the dots with things like going on with me like on social media and like things they think they know about me, which is so fucking lame and like not what it's about at all. Like just listen to the music, dude.
Yeah, but if somebody were to like develop their own personal experience with the song in a very significant way, can that maybe change on how then you look at your own art in a way or something like that? Like there's a famous saying, when you put out a song, it instantly becomes theirs. So I thought that maybe like if somebody else has their own experience with the song, maybe you look at the music with a different bit of perspective.
It would definitely like offer different perspective, but it's not going to change the way that I view the songs, because just like the songs become theirs once they listen to it, the songs are mine when I'm performing them. So I'm not going to like take someone else's view and apply it to my own delivery, but I like when other people have a different perspective from me.
Of course. One thing I was always curious about is I just kind of started asking this question because you mentioned that this is a personal record and everything. Is music kind of a way of escaping yourself, or is it a direct extension of who you are?
That's a really good question. I think that it's both. It allows me to express certain parts of myself in like a cathartic way so that I can sort of put those things aside in my everyday life. Like I have this outlet to deal with certain shit, so I don't have to like deal with it all the time in my waking day to day because I have this band.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it. I feel like it's kind of like in a way of looking, it kind of is like both looking within yourself and outside of yourself, right? Or is one more prevalent than the other?
It's really hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah. So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time
No
today.
problem. Thank you.
Is there just anything else with Immortal Bird you would like to promote now that Thrive on Neglect is going to be hitting the year-old mark this coming summer? Is there just anything else you'd like to promote?
Nope. Just buy Thrive on Neglect. It's been out for like 5 months, so go listen to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rae.
Thank you.
Everybody, we are here with Rae of Immortal Bird, Thrive on Neglect. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.